Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and today I've got Dave McCoy with me.
Hey.
Now, Dave you are the art director. Is that what's going on here?
You know, that's what they call me.
That's what they call you?
I'm the art director for the studio and
Hidden Path Entertainment.
Hidden Path Entertainment, absolutely. And as the art director for the studio, I get to pick which projects I'm going to take on myself and which I'm going to assign to others. And Defense Grid was one I was like, nope, I absolutely have to do that. So I'm the art director for the project too.
Awesome, awesome. And that's what we're talking about today is Defense Grid and like the Kickstarter project.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about the game. I actually have been playing a bit and
you and lots of other people, I'm glad to say.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I've been in the game business a long time. I have to say that Defense Grid, you get to the end of a game and you're like, you have to play it like thousands of times in order to actually ship it. Defense Grid is probably the only game I actually go back and play again for my own amusement, having shipped it. Like everything else, I'm like, good, done, put it in a box, ship it out, I'm done. But this game I actually go back and have fun with.
I can tell you that I want to play games where the developers want to play them.
You know, you actually know you're being successful if you want to play your own game. I've been on projects where you go, hey, you know what? As soon as everybody finishes for the day, we go off and play something else. You kind of go, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what we're doing wrong. But at the end of the day, if everybody goes, hey, you know what? We can actually stay and play a little longer, our own game, then you know you have something cool. And we got that on Defense Grid. You know, there was, I could say it's all our pure brilliance, but every once in a while, the stars come together, you get everything just right, and
luck happens.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with luck. I prefer brilliance, you know, visionary quality, etc. But luck maybe has a small part of it too.
So as for art, what does that mean to a game? I mean, obviously it's the visual portion of it.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, here at Defense Grid, everybody here has a strong design background, and the programmers here have done design work in the past. And I, as an artist, I've spent almost as much time in my career being a game designer as an artist. And I guess I'm saying, usually the thing you like to say is, oh, the art doesn't matter, only the gameplay matters. And it's true, a lot of studios have gone after a great visual look, but then the game sucks, and of course nobody wants to play those. But at the same time, you really want a great artistic experience as well. You want a game to fire on all cylinders. You want it to be a great play. You want it to, be really engaging, but you also want the audio to be fantastic. You want the UI to be really easy and the controls to be very intuitive, and you want it to look really, really compelling. And in the case of this product, the original Defense Grid, there were lots and lots of tower defense games. But a lot of them were very simple flash games, and we were like, no, let's do something really, really high-end. Everybody in the studio has a lot of experience doing like big AAA games, and we said, let's bring that kind of style to this genre gameplay. And that included the art, where we really wanted to exploit the 3D and make like these full 3D levels. So it wasn't just 3D, but there were upper levels and lower levels and all this kind of stuff to how the game looked, and really giving that sense of being over and staring down into these crevasses and stuff like that. And quite honestly, having had that work on the first one, like we're doing it like 10,000 times as much on DG2. So
really,
it's just like we're just gonna like take it completely over the top in terms of this one, in terms of dimensionality and look and different environments and all sorts of stuff, because we have an all new engine which does all sorts of really great lighting tricks and all sorts of new shading tricks, and of course,
so is it going to equal higher end detail and
all sorts of things that we weren't able to do before, like moving elements and all sorts of effects. One of the real big things, I was doing a lot of film work before I got into computer games, because I was doing computer graphics and stuff, and light is the thing that photographers, I know these things.
Yes.
Who am I talking to? Yeah, absolutely. So light is what you use to really create the emotional feel of the experience and to transmit a sense of form. And we have so much. I mean, we have an amazing lighting engine on the second game. It's amazing. Every little thing can have its own light. So if you imagine like a scene where, you know, if you see one of those things where people all are holding like a little candle and it's a sea of these candles and stuff like that going on and all these like beams and light sources all over the place. We just couldn't do that with the first game. But now we can do all of that stuff just based on the new tech that we've got. And we are definitely exploiting it over the top. So there'll be, you know, it's like the difference between a, like Doctor Who and, you know, like Phantom Menace in terms of like visual quality. Anyway.
Yeah, and so but we're not going to be holding candles in the new game.
Well, you can't. No, it's going to be an all-candle interface. That's how it's going to work. You'll hold
I'm just trying to visualize that in terms of weapons and explosions.
Absolutely.
And stuff.
Yeah, I think about that because I think of that sea of things, but it's really like, just like everything can have its own light source. You know, when the towers fire, then they can be creating light. And when the beam travels through the space, so that could be lighting. And then, you know, blinking lights and all sorts of stuff all over the complex and all the aliens having their own spotlights and lighting things up and stuff like that. So there's just lots and lots and lots of opportunities for cool lighting effects. Not only just to be cool, but also we can really, really set careful mood lighting that, you know, creates an emotional feel. So when you want to feel that tension, you can feel that tension.
Yeah,
and when you want to feel that release and that relief, like, oh my gosh, we made it. The, you know, the gloom is over. We can really do all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I can visualize that now. Everything gets nice and bright and cheery when you win.
That's right. Absolutely. You know,
and as
the
if
clouds part.
If it's getting darker, you've got problems.
That's right. You're screwed. So anyway. So yeah, I talk about that stuff. I guess I talk about it in too much detail. You cut all that stuff out, but I'm really excited about it. In the end, we're going to have a lot more we can do, and the game is just really going to, I think, look amazing.
So you have is this a piece of concept art for?
It is very, very, very early. It's called a study in purple. No, we often just put these files with color through things, but yeah, we're exploring like new alien types because we're going to be going into new spaces, into places we haven't been, because Defense Grid was part of this interplanetary civilization. And so we're actually going to be leaving the world that you were on originally. You're going to be doing some things where you're going to be going into the alien spaces, and then you're going to be going to some other new worlds, and you're going to run into new aliens and new kinds of architecture and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we're starting to just explore different concepts, and these are some initial hits on both, you know, environmental stuff and aliens, and we're doing new towers. Of course, you've got to have new stuff there, and they're a lot more detailed and have a lot more moving parts and new functions. So,
when you where does it start when they say, okay, we're going to have some new types of aliens? Does that start with somebody just saying we're going to have some new types of aliens, and you draw something up?
You know,
or how does that work?
Well, usually, first of all, you know, you always wind up with stuff that you wanted to do on the first one that you didn't get a chance to do because time ran out or money ran out or it just didn't quite fit the game design. So you go, well, that winds up on the cutting room floor. So some of it is, let's take the ideas that we didn't use the first time that were cool, and now let's see, we knew there was something there, but we never quite found what the magical part was. Let's spend a little more time with it and see if we can get that magical part out.
Pop out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You kind of look at where you've been, and then you think about all those things you wanted to do that now you could do now. I mean, we wanted to put some of these things in the original game. The game was, you know, it was a cool game, and it had like 20 levels in just the initial game, and we released a lot more DLC. We were like, there's no place to fit it in, but now we have a chance to fit it in, so we can add some of that stuff. Then what we do is we go, okay, working from this, what did we think really worked well, and what worked okay when we finished? And now let's take what we thought really worked well, and now let's turn it to 11. You know, let's bring that out and bring that up, and now let's push in that direction. So, you know, all the creatures, all the enemy in the game, they were kind of this mix of like insectoid, mechanical kind of quality, and we were like, that's cool, but let's explore that direction a little farther with some new forms, so we can kind of see new directions that the aliens will take. They still have that biomechanical quality, but now they start to look a little less abstract. They start to look more like combination of organisms and machines. So we come up with that, and one of the things we do here, which we talked about on one of the other Kickstarter sessions, is we do something called speed concepting. Because when you just want ideas to come out, the fact is that, you know, artists will obsess on stuff and try to get it better and better and better and better and better and better. And there's never a point where it's absolutely finished. You can always make it better.
But somebody has to call it done.
But somebody has to call it done. So exactly. So what we do is we say, you know, at 1 o'clock we're going to have a speed concepting session, but we don't tell anybody what the concepting session is about. And then at 1 o'clock we go, here's your thing. We want to design new aliens for Defense Grid 2 that have these kinds of functions. You have 90 minutes. Go. And now everybody in the art department will sit down for that 90 minutes, scratch their head, think about it, and come up with as many different designs as they can.
Do you just draw these out on paper? Are you all sitting in a group?
You know
or
what?
Something like
It can be
or?
Anything you want. Well, we're all sitting at our desks, and we tend to be kind of all together in a clustered area here. We like an open plan here. So everybody's at their desk. They can draw on paper, they can draw on the whiteboard and take a picture if they want to. They can work inside Photoshop or any of the other kind of 2D things. They can work in, we use 3ds Max or ZBrush.
Whatever medium you have
Anything
available.
you want. If you want to like go out and get modeling clay and take that and bring it in.
Yeah.
So we do that for 90 minutes. And 90 minutes, pencils down, we're done. And then we all get together in a conference room, and we look at everything everybody's done. And we all riff on each other's work. We're like, yeah, that's good, that's bad, you know, I love this direction. Hey, let's take that and glue it together with this, and that'll be a cool thing. And the thing is, because you were confined in space, you really had to work on the fundamentals visually. You just had to go, what is the base thing I'm trying to get across here? And I don't spend all my time like painting every last little detail. I get the broad strokes. There's going to be time for the details later when we actually get into production. Right, you just get the main idea. So
tell me, in the original game, is there anything that you would have pulled out that you didn't like? Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough one. I think that I would have liked to have had more motion in the game. It's not so much what was in there that I didn't like, and on that, I have to say I got an awful lot of what I wanted to get into the game. I think things were more static than I would have liked, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we're pushing to get a lot more movement and motion and sense of life into the new game. I mean, we could do things like, you know, clouds moving through and particle effects and welding and lava moving around, but it's not like we could have, like, you know, trucks driving on the roads, or, you know, cranes moving around, or you know, well, absolutely. And you know that sense that it's not just a static picture. So to me, if I had one thing I would have liked to have changed, it would be probably that. But that was something that just wasn't possible to get into the game, not so much something that I put in that I go, I wish I hadn't put that in.
And what in the game surprised you? Like, after the game, you know, shipped, you're like, holy cow, I never even thought about that, and that worked so well. Or we didn't put any thought into that, and everybody loved it.
Well, you know, the thing is that, so we designed the game so that we don't like being frustrated by games that are too hard. And so we said, look, if you put in a reasonable effort, after a couple times at the most, probably for most people, first time through, you should be able to get through the level and progress on to the next level. And we thought, well, that's good, but some people are going to want more of a challenge. So we put in challenge modes that said, well, try to do it with only these towers, or try to do it and gain this much in terms of resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we put those in to try to help the more hardcore players who would go, no, I really want to do it well. I mean, obviously we had gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal in terms of performance. That was there. But we stuck in these challenge modes. The fact is that, you know, we said, oh yeah, there's like a dozen hours of gameplay in this game, which for its cost was pretty reasonable. People played the game for hundreds of hours. People played the game for thousands of hours, going through, getting every last challenge mode, every little thing. And then they weren't even satisfied with that. They were like posting things on YouTube going, oh look, here's where I did it with less than the number that even the challenge modes they set up, that people wanted to challenge themselves because they wanted to find, because there wasn't just one way to win a level.
Right.
People went in there and saw it as like a little laboratory about how can we do this even better. Exactly. And they always wanted to go, what's the absolute limit of what I can do? And I think we were surprised when people came back and said, you know what, this game I play more than any other game. Yeah, I loved, you know, I loved all these super high-end games, but this one's the one that I go back to again and again and again.
And what exactly would you attribute that stickiness to?
I think it is the fact that the levels were really, really, really well designed and well balanced. I think the controls were super intuitive. It was super simple.
It is easy to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is that a lot of people, I think in terms of when they look at these kinds of strategy games, there's an association in mini games between making complex decisions and having a really complex user interface. You got to have lots of different controls and lots of different icons up on the screen. And we always try to keep our stuff really, really clean so that the complex part is playing the game, not figuring out the interface and not figuring out which is the right button to hit. And it's not so much a Twitch game where you go, I have to get my reflexes up to the point where I can hit this in 1/10,000th of a second 400 times in the right direction. But like, this is a complex problem that's going to take some thinking, and it's interesting to work it out. And we put in, I think, just enough of emotional quality. There was a game, because I'm old school, you know, I've been at this for a long time. There was a game called Choplifter from forever ago.
So like stealing choppers?
Well, no, I think that would have been good too. Actually, that's probably more like Grand Theft Chopper or something. That would be, I'd enjoy that. So this game, it was all about, like, it was a little side scroller. You had a helicopter, and you went over, and there was like a prisoner of war camp, and you basically shot the roof off of the prisoner of war camp building, and guys ran out and got on your helicopter, and then you would go grab them and you take them back to your side, and then you go back and try to rescue more guys, and that was it. And it was just this little simple side scroller, nothing to it. It was amazingly popular. Broderbund did it, and it was just like hugely popular. And the cool thing was, women loved it as much as guys, because usually, you know, it's like 90% guys playing video games. And people said, no, you know what, there's a reason. You have to go out and there are fighter jets who come and try to attack you, and you have to shoot them down, and tanks that try to get you. You have to worry about those. But they were all like, I don't want any of my little guys to die. You know, because they could get killed if I make a mistake or something like that. And it's like, no, I'm going to rescue absolutely everybody. Everybody gets out alive. You know, people became obsessed with that. And I think we got the cores where basically your job is to protect these things.
Right. I was just envisioning that now, that the aliens are driving their choppers in to get the little,
exactly. Well, they're trying to get it, and it's basically like your job is to protect these things. And I think in most tower defense games, you're really just trying to stop somebody from going from this side to, you know, from the right side to the left side. And we went, here, the aliens will come in.
They're on a recovery mission.
Yeah, they'll steal the stuff, and you got to stop them. And then the cores gradually make their way back. And,
thank God.
Yes. And when people see these aliens, like, stealing their cores and getting out, and they have their guns blazing away at them, and they're just like going, get him, get him, get him. I mean, we were all a little taken back by how, like, people were developing this emotional attachment to these little blue dots of light. Although I will say it was it was a very deliberate, intentional thing to put those in, to say, we want to give you something other than just stop the bad guys, but like, here's something for you to take care of and something to protect.
Was there any thought in how they look?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, they had to be very, very clear from just a functional gameplay purpose. They really had to show up on the screen, so you went, I really can see where they are because I need to know the status
of them. To
me,
they look innocent.
Yeah, absolutely. They were meant to look kind of innocuous and you know, sort of warm, and you know, they were meant to be a source of energy and goodness and light and all that kind of stuff. I mean, absolutely, you put that sort of stuff in there to say we have to have that emotional connection, even with something as tiny as a little core in a defense grid game. You know, just in the same way that the aliens have to look menacing and the guns have to look, you know, statuesque and powerful, and you know, they have to be sentinels, expressions of your role as a guardian, you know, in the game. So absolutely, everybody, you know, all good art directors are going to go in there and going, what am I trying to establish emotionally in terms of connecting with the audience in order to say, I want you to understand that this isn't just a good guy, but this is a stalwart defender, you know, as opposed to here is someone who will sacrifice, or here, you know, those are all different forms of good guy. And you start at the core of it thinking about what are the emotional qualities that I want to bring out, even if it's something as simple as a little energy blob, or a little bad guy on the screen, or a building that stands, you know, for something. It's always has to stand for something.
So are the aliens evil?
You know, I could get a little philosophical here. Well, no, I mean, I think they represent. Well, it's kind of like, was the shark evil in Jaws? I think they're more like that. You know, the shark wasn't really evil, but it sure was dangerous, and here I think there is a little quality of evilness beyond that, simply because the aliens are implacable and there's no stopping them. They're that kind of. I remember Benchley said that the thing he thought was scary was, if you're in the water and you're in the shark's medium, if it decides to attack you, there's nothing you can do to get the shark to stop. I mean, I guess people punch them and stuff like that, but it's like that threatening quality of there's no negotiating, there's no, can we just work this out, etc. So, is that evil? I don't know. It's
just their nature?
It is their nature. You know, are viruses evil? Is disease evil? I guess it's not evil per se, but it's certainly a force that needs to be stopped.
And so with your artwork of these, what about this says this is a force that needs to be stopped?
Well, there's all the classical things you do in art that, you know, like you give it pointy edges and things like that people naturally associate as threatening. You give it some feeling of power and mass and things like that. But you notice, like, have these implied eyes and things like that on this, and there's no connecting with that eye emotionally. It's
very foreign.
Yeah, it's very foreign. It's very dead. You know, again, like Jaws, it's like, oh, those doll's eyes he described on the shark. Not that we're making, like, it's defense grid. It's not Jaws and anyway, but that's an aspect. It's kind of like soulless there, which is an aspect. The mechanical quality is it isn't warm and fuzzy. It's unfriendly. It's mechanically functional. So to me, like a gun or like another piece of military equipment, there's a quality that basically goes, this machinery is exposed because it's doing a utilitarian thing, and we don't think of that in usually
warm,
a friendly
cuddly
yeah
way.
Exactly, that's not a warm, friendly kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those are aspects that we would put into the design in order to go, yeah, this is probably not a friend of yours. And again, if you look at the forms, they have kind of unusual alien qualities. You would go, that doesn't look like it was designed by a human being. It's not a manifestation. It's not like a Corvette, which is an artificial thing, but you go, hey, that's cool. you know, or a yacht that you go, wow, that's very nice. It's like you look at it and you kind of go, that's a little distressing. I'm not quite, I don't think I want to be associated with that.
Yeah. So, are you ready to get started on the new game, on the new stuff?
Well, I mean, in a sense, we're already started on the new game. It's the Kickstarter is going to determine our schedule, but it's determining when, not if. So we're making this game one way or another.
So Kickstarter, if you hit your goals, then it accelerates.
Absolutely.
So it's time. So it's money producing shorter time.
Yeah, I mean, as an independent studio, we have ways that we make income, and we put what we can put into doing development on Defense Grid, but we have to do it over, you know, as long as it's like
it's a business too.
It's a pay-as-you-go thing with Defense Grid. So we're doing it as fast as we can, but we thought if we do a Kickstarter and we can get the cash, then we can just get all the staff we need working on it right away, and we can dedicate all our efforts to that, and that'll greatly accelerate it, and it'll allow us to do more things that, I mean, we're going to put everything we can possibly put into this game. And if we've got the cash to know that we absolutely can do it, we're going to put even more of our own cash into the game in order to add all those features that we've always wanted to have in there.
Yeah. So, and I found that you can get the game for free.
You know, I didn't. Were we talking about that already?
No, but you know, just for all of you who are watching, you know, if you go out to the Kickstarter project, which I put a link in the description, then and you pledge, I pledged, and the next day I got in my email a code for the original game.
Absolutely.
And so if you haven't played the game before, what a great way. You get a 2-for-1. If you have and didn't get the downloadable content, go for like the $30 option where you get that as well, and then you get a code for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? We really enjoyed our community interacting with them on the first game and the kinds of comments we got and all that kind of stuff. And we really just wanted to make sure that, you know, we expressed our gratitude to anybody who pledged at any level. So,
so I found that to be very refreshing. I hadn't come across that before in any of the Kickstarter projects I've seen. Well, so I'm benefiting already, and my credit card hasn't even been charged. So
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the warning ding.
Next appointment time coming up.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Anyway. Dave, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
And I actually learned a lot about some of the thoughts behind the artwork.
Cool.
And and I hope to see some amazing stuff out of you.
You know what? We're doing our best, and I think people are really going to be amazed.
And keep playing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, most definitely. So
pleasure.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye.